Thousands of families on the First Coast are still facing the threat of eviction. But if you live in Duval County, there might be help headed your way.
Now, the city just approving a grant to get money to those at risk of homelessness. Our Renata DiGregorio now joining us live from City Hall with what you need to know and how you qualify for that. Good morning, Renata.
Good morning, Lou. Well, Florida has the second highest risk of evictions in the nation. This is according to Advisor Smith, which is a business research company. They published this in December. Now, in Duval County here, this program is for people who are at risk of ending up on the streets, homeless. If they meet the criteria, there is help on the way. The nearly $30 million grant from the U.S. Treasury Department will help people cover up to a year of rent and utility payments, plus 3 extra months if needed to keep people from becoming homeless. Eligibility requirements for the program include having an income that falls below 80% of the area median income. For example, a family of 4 must have an income of $60,000 or less. Applicants must also live in Duval County, provide proof of hardship like unemployment benefits, and have a documented risk of housing instability or homelessness. United Way and JEA are also contributing money to help.
We're trying to get funds out as soon as possible to help all of those who are struggling with rent and utility payments right now.
So the city has not announced the application process for this just yet, but we will let you know. It's supposed to happen sometime soon that the applications are supposed to open up. Now, what's going on with the federal moratoriums on evictions? We're going to talk about that coming up in the next half hour here on GMJ. I'm Renata DiGregorio, live downtown. First Coast News on your side.